what actually happens is that when there is a full moon, then the earth is in between the sun and the moon, right? And when there is a new moon, then the sun and the moon, they are both more or less on the same side of the earth. In the full moon, moon and sun are having earth in the middle, no? And are pulling in opposite direction through their gravity. And when it is a new moon, then the moon and the sun, they are in the same direction, so they are pulling together. So what this means has to do with our two sides of the brain, one which is lunar and one which is solar, one which is more emotional and one which is more rational. So whatever is going on inside us is always an interaction between these two sides. And when the moon and the sun are pulling in opposite direction, then you could say that the gap between our two hemispheres grows more wide. And the lunar part of us and the solar part of us, the emotional part of us and the rational part of us, they act more independently. And that is why on a full moon our emotions tend to be more strong, because they are less in balance with our thoughts. We talked some time ago about, what comes first, thoughts or emotions, and there I said that actually emotions are everywhere in our system. They are in the physical body, they are in the energy body, they are in the thoughts, in the brain, and they are in the subconscious mind. And they're even in the Anandamaya Kosh, where we find the bliss of the self. So we are really emotional creatures, but still this double brain that we have here allows us a lot of emotional control. Whatever we feel, we have another voice, you could say, of reason, no? With which we kind of compensate that. And this interaction means that the emotions feel less strong. But when the new moon is there, and the sun and the moon both pull in same way, in same direction, then they can work together very well. In full moon, when they pull in opposite direction, we become more, you could say, schizophrenic between being thinking beings and feeling beings. And so the feelings then have a tendency to, dance all by themselves, and that way get more out of control. That is actually the reason. And definitely the time to start some new project, some new sadhana, is after new moon. If the new moon is during the night, then definitely the day before and after should be avoided to make any decisions, should be avoided to start anything new. But then the day after that or 2 days after that are definitely good, because then the energy is already again going up. The problem at new moon is that the emotional energy is at a low volume, you could say. And that has also many advantages. But being at a low volume means that your willpower, which is like also an emotion, like a passion, the courage rasa, is also low. So then it will be difficult. But once the new moon has passed, then easily the energy goes up again. And anyhow, if you start something new, then in the beginning you will be enthusiastic, right? The question is more like after 1 week, are you still enthusiastic? So then actually from new moon to the next full moon, you have 2 weeks in which the energy will only go up and your courage will only, let's say, increase, and your willpower will only increase. So then your project has really a good chance of going somewhere. I mean, if you start something new which only takes 2 days, okay, no problem, no? But if you take something which will take a longer time. Better wait first for the new moon to come and pass, and then do it. So this will very much increase, let's say, your success rate in whatever you are doing, no? Whether it is something for work or some spiritual discipline, it's the same thing. And especially 2-3 days before new moon and on new moon itself, avoid making any important decisions, avoid to even think too much about things. Especially don't draw any conclusions. Maybe you can think about some things for sure, but waiting to draw any conclusions, more like maybe looking at it from different angles and so on. Well, then full moon, the emotions are very high. So then your passion may be very strong. So yeah, that may be still a time where you can take some decisions, as I said, but not if those decisions feel anyhow difficult to take. Not if that commitment feels anyhow difficult to take, because you might feel you can do it around full moon, but maybe 1 week later already your energy has gone down so much and you can't keep it up. So in that way also, I would say full moon is not the best of times, let's say, to start something new, because you might be emotionally very involved. Like you might feel very strongly that you need to change this or that, start this or that, but that this is actually an overreaction, which is emotional, and not the most wise decision that you can take facing some kind of problem or situation. So we are not very wise around full moon. We are actually quite wise usually around new moon, and quite calm and able to prepare our decision, let's say. As I said, it's not a bad time to think about things and then wait until 1-2 days later and then decide and start. Emotionally speaking, both new moon and full moon have their problems and their possibilities, and that must be clearly understood. On new moon, because our emotional energy is low, and so let's say our courage is a bit low, then some people will suffer more than usual from depression, fear, sadness, all kinds of emotions which have to do with low energy anyhow. No? When I talk about depression, I say, if you are depressed, maybe you need some deep rest. Maybe you need to relax more, maybe you need to calm down more, maybe you need to, take a sauna or a walk in nature or something like that. Really a little bit of wellness is then needed. So around new moon, those people who already are a bit weak, they will be the most weak. And so that may aggravate their situation. On full moon, well, we can really have lots of fun. It's an excellent party time to go singing and dancing and sex and drugs, rock and roll, whatever whatever you want around full moon will be very good. But if you have a little anger issue, then that may also have a peak around full moon. So then better avoid around full moon to go into any serious discussions with your boyfriend or girlfriend or something, because that might escalate easily. And also some elements of fear can be enhanced definitely by the full moon. Fear is a little strange in that new moon can push it because it makes you feel weak. And then, whatever you have to face, you may fear that you are not able to do it. Full moon, that brings more this, energy, which, if you are, let's say, very worried about your health or your finances or your relationship or something like that, then at that moment the thoughts really might run out of hand, become totally uncontrollable because there's so much emotional energy around it. Which also means that both new moon and full moon are very good to meditate, but for different reasons. New moon is actually very suitable for meditation. Calmness comes very easily, and it will also avoid any kind of fear. And then full moon is very good to meditate, not because it's easy to meditate around full moon, but because at that time you may really need it to a little bit calm down your anger, calm down your fear, calm down your emotions. And so anyhow, meditation always is very good, but especially around these two times, because full moon and new moon are also times when the energy of the spiritual world is more affecting us. The gates are more open. So also there, whatever is going on inside of us, it will be stimulated from there. So if you're very much in love, then very good, that will only be stimulated. But if you are more in negative feelings, then that also will be more stimulated. So good times also to do certain rituals and, make sure your public relations with the spiritual world are good. And then new moon is especially good for doing rituals for the ancestors, because, as I say, the gate is really open very nicely, and at that time the ancestors, they are calm. So then is the best time to talk to them and maybe ask them a little help or support in whatever you are doing. That is not to be done around full moon. Anyhow, around new moon, we should never try to change anything. Like, I will never do any healing the day before new moon and on new moon. No, then my shop is closed because it's not the moment to change something. From tomorrow, okay, then it can happen. But anyhow, for me, this is something which is always in my agenda, new moon and full moon, and I really plan accordingly. And the days around new moon, if the new moon is in the night, then the day before and the day after, maybe even 2 days before, I really don't plan anything. It's just, as I said, try to finish whatever is already anyhow going on, and don't overwork, because you won't have the energy.